So if you think that you're good enough to compete with the men, stop being in these fucking shit, no prize pool girl tournaments and fucking compete with the guys and get as good or better than them.
So who cares? Why not do your own thing and let them say what they want?
What's up, guys, and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to be taking a look at an article that was sent to me by Albert. Albert is the MGTOW fellow who said that I should do the Gauntlet Gangbang, and who also sent me, I think it was the article about Charlize Theron and the allegations against her on set of, I think it was North Country. You guys have been eating up my response and react videos lately, so I decided to tackle this one without having read it first, and if the video absolutely sucks, we'll just scrap it. But these are my thoughts on a BBC article entitled "The Harsh Realities of Being a Professional Girl Gamer." Before we get into this, since a lot of people seem to misconstrue my words or my intent when I make these videos, I am a long-standing proponent of professional gaming not being so toxic that it's the main reason why there are not a lot of professional female gamers on par with male gamers. I don't believe that there is any overarching trend of harassment against specifically female gamers that would warrant them to not be able to compete on par with male gamers. I just think that's nonsense. As someone who's been a female gamer her entire life and has thrived and done absolutely fine, I just don't see any tangible reason why that would be the case. I think it has more to do with female interests, biology, and having very, very sensitive or thin skin. I'm open to the idea that I'm an absolute sociopath, and there's nothing that anyone could say that could stop me, particularly because of the way I was raised in my environment, from doing exactly what I want to do, and that perhaps when I get this form of harassment, it just doesn't bother me as much, so I have a blind spot to it, whereas other women are dealing with something so debilitating day in and day out that they absolutely would not be able to perform on par with men for that simple reason. We shall see. I'm gonna look at this and consider it from what I hope to be a level-headed position, and we'll have some fun, so let's fucking do it. Also, shout out to having this mic. It sounds so good. I'm monitoring myself and I feel like I'm on a fucking podcast. It's amazing. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. This is the Michael Jackson Thriller microphone. It's also the one that any self-respecting podcaster, including Joe Rogan, uses. I love this thing. I've always wanted it, and I got it recently from someone who definitely should not have spoiled me so much. All right, let's start off this article. They endure everything from subtle jabs to full-on death threats, but these women are not deterred from pursuing their passion for professional gaming. Great! Then there's no problem. I laud these kind of people that don't listen to any kind of deterrence when they're striving to achieve life goals or passions. Imagine being paid to play video games with hordes of adoring fans watching online. But if you're a female professional gamer, the dream job comes with additional obstacles that your male counterparts might never experience. Underline that "might" right there. Canadian Stephanie Harvey, or Miss Harvey. A little note here, there's some kind of rule on Twitch that you're not allowed to really criticize or talk about any other Twitch partners. It's a very weird rule, but I just want to make it clear that this could be Gamer Girl A and Gamer Girl B. I don't have anything against these people and I don't know what they actually think, so I'm not actually levying any criticism or hate toward these girls in particular. I also don't know them. Just a note, don't want to lose my Twitch page. So Canadian Stephanie Harvey, or Miss Harvey as she is known in the gaming world, is a video game developer, esports player, and she's won some stuff. British gamer Leviathan live streams around 6 hours of footage a day on Twitch TV. We know what Twitch TV is, and she has 150,000 followers. I think that's like around, how much do I have? I think I have like 90,000. I don't know. As women in a largely male industry, they have undoubtedly faced challenges, but neither want special treatment. That's good, because usually when they say they don't want special treatment, what they say they want sounds like special treatment, but we'll see. They just want a level playing field with their male counterparts, and both are optimistic about the future of the professional gaming space, where they hope the term girl gamer will soon be obsolete. This is kind of silly. This idea that some kind of word or some kind of insult is gonna at some point become obsolete because people take girl gamers as a whole more seriously, that's just not going to happen. And if your biggest gripe is that you're being derogatorily called a girl gamer, let's see where this goes. We'll see. Stephanie Harvey explains, I've been doing this for almost 15 years now, and when I started it was extremely male dominated, especially in pro gaming. It still is. This is the same kind of person, maybe, I don't know anything about this person, that says stuff like, no, like 50% of gamers are female, but then obviously that statistic comes from looking at mobile gaming and stuff. That's where a large chunk of the female audience comes from because of female interests. Or some kind of society telling them they can't do something, or unlevel playing field somewhere, I don't know. But it's weird to say that something is male dominated, and then also anytime I say like gamers who really game are predominantly men, the same types of people, it seems, will come back at me with like, no, 50% are females, so we need a lot more female representation. It's like, okay. On the circuit, there aren't that many females, but the arrival of new games, new communities, and just overall society changing and evolving throughout mainstream video games is bringing in a new wave of players. Unfortunately for everyone, oh, I thought it said unfortunately. Fortunately for everyone, there's a lot of females involved. Okay, cool. So she's kind of saying that thing. In one sense, there is nothing stopping women entering this industry. In which sense? Which sense is that? Because I think in all senses. While the prizes for the female-only competitors are small, the major international pro gamer competitions offering enticing big bucks prizes are open to both sexes. And Harvey and Leviathan agree that they've never been told that they can't do it, but from their experience, it's not necessarily easy. Yeah, it's not necessarily easy for literally anyone to compete in the highest echelons of any kind of sport, esport or otherwise. Of course not. The issue I have with most people making these claims is that it's so hard for people to look outside of their own personal experiences. It's like they have blinders on, and obviously they're gonna have an emotional attachment to the things that are happening to them, but it's often hard to realize how that exact same thing, just a little bit different of a flavor, is happening to literally everyone else. And it's not a female gamers issue, it's a why are people toxic in general on the internet when they're hiding behind a monitor, or why do people feel like gaming is a great place to vent, etc. Moving on, there hasn't been anything said yet, so I don't really want to go off on some kind of diatribe here. Anyway, they've never been told that they can't do it, but that from their experience, it's not necessarily easy. Okay, so she says there's nothing not encouraging you as a female. Great double negative, I love it. She's basically saying they're not being discouraged. So then, why is the term gamer girl seen as derogatory? For Leviathan, it's the stereotype of a gamer who isn't there because she's good at games or enjoys games. She's just there because she's trying to impress guys or something. It's not true. Okay, it might not be true for her specifically, but you have to, once again, look outside of your blinders and realize that very much so is almost every stereotype levied against a certain type of person ringing true an amount of times. Like, it happens. It's definitely true that there are girls out there just like looking cute, and you can see a lot of girls who look cuter as girls trying to do that without actually delving into whether or not their personality backs that up. But it is true. Lonely guys or gamer guys are a ripe demographic for women to just come in here and Belle Delphine it up. Not that Belle Delphine is one of those people, but looking like you're that kind of person, because that kind of person does exist. So you can't say that there's an issue over here without understanding where that issue is coming from and that stereotype is coming from in the first place, because yes, it is true. Maybe not for you, but it happens. As a live streamer, Leviathan receives direct audience feedback. While this is mainly positive, she admits, you often get negative comments about being a female. I do a lot of promotional materials and I'm constantly told that I'm just there for representation, really, just because I'm a female, not because I have any merit as a gamer. Okay, you know what will put a stop to that? Diversity hiring. If you don't diversity hire, no one's gonna accuse you of that, because every single hiring practice is based on a meritocracy. People get really fucking frustrated, and this has happened to me too, where I get hired for something. I got hired to cast a Chinese first-person shooter game I had never played in my entire life because they wanted a female caster and I was attractive. They were gonna fly me down to Hong Kong, and I had to like real quick fucking learn this shit. I ended up not going. But that kind of shit makes me feel uncomfortable. It's like, why are you hiring me? I know I'm not qualified for this. I see people casting every single esport that I used to care about. I don't watch anything anymore, so maybe it's gotten a little better, but it used to be the same way in StarCraft, in Magic the Gathering. They would have like a semi-pretty realistic face there that barely knew anything compared to the other people, and the other casters were literally 25-year veterans that knew everything about the game. There's literally no reason why that girl should be there other than representation. Now, it's okay if you actually admit that there will be more people brought into the game by this diversity hire, but you can't at the same time say that it's not a diversity hire. I would rather look at an attractive female next to a really knowledgeable man, or an attractive man next to a really knowledgeable female. It doesn't matter to me. I understand that looks and that diversity can sometimes bring in other people who either like looks or are of that diverse demographic. It makes sense. But you can't say that it's totally never going to be warranted for someone to say that's just a diversity hire because people are doing that. So just just prove them wrong or ignore them because you know that's not the case if you do have merit as a gamer. I don't see where this is some kind of limiting force for women in gaming. It makes no sense. Harvey regrets in some ways having chosen to include Miss in her player name, Miss Harvey, because it associates her with being female and she would rather just be one of the players instead of the girl player. No matter what you're doing, if you are a minority in that situation, it is very easy to add a modifier to be more specific by saying that girl player or that Hispanic guy. That's a distinctive identifier. So while there are going to be people who are going to use it derogatorily because of the stereotype that does often ring true, which is girls kind of suck at games and are only in it for guy dick or guy attention, guy money, I don't fucking know. That's just always going to happen. And there's no possible way for you to get 50% women, 50% men, 50% trans, 50% black, 50% this, 50% that. You can't do that. And I know my math is retarded. There's no possible way that you can have equal representation for literally everyone and still have a playing field that's level and based on meritocracy and not have people complain of diversity hiring and you're just there for representation. You can't have it both ways. So the way you want it is you want less people criticizing you for just being a girl, then maybe stop asking for all of these rules to be put in place so that girls are put up on a pedestal, which of course is going to annoy anyone who's not a fucking girl because they're getting special treatment, which is, as you've said, something you don't want. Trolls told Leviathan to get cancer and die and made rape threats because she promoted a game that they didn't like. Yeah, that happens to everyone, males included. Maybe not rape threats. Instead of rape threats, it'll be like killing your wife and slitting your firstborn kid's throat threats. Men, women, it doesn't matter. Everyone's going to get threats, and whatever flavor of person you are, you're going to get more targeted threats based on those things that they know about you. Everyone, every troll or hater or someone that's trying to hurt you is going to pick at things that make you unique, at things that feel more personal. So if someone calls you the N-word because you're black, or if someone does rape threats because you're a woman, or someone just calls you a fag because you're like a white guy and there's not really anything else to modify there, it's all the same shit. I don't understand why it should make a difference to the individual girl just because there's less girls in there. Like, we have to protect them because there's less of them, but they're enduring the same shit that everyone else is. It's really not that different. The only difference is that women are like less thick-skinned. I don't know. She is pragmatic. They bother me, but I know by and large they are not real. I just try to separate them from the reality of what I do. Good. It's imperative to learn how to cope with the scale and intensity of the vitriol that can sometimes be experienced. Ignoring trolls and refusing them the attention they crave is a key strategy. Alternatively, calling their bluff and trolling them back in a positive way often helps diffuse the situation. Leviathan also has a moderation crew who help manage abusive comments. Okay, cool. All above board. All sounds like shit that men have to do as well. In fact, if a man gets doxxed or harassed or a death threat or gets beaten up on the street because he's a popular male streamer, he's gonna get a lot less sympathy. Men, and pretty much everyone, society, has it ingrained in them to protect the weaker sex. So if anything, women are more protected, given more opportunities, having it handed to them whether or not they deserve it or not for representation and because they're a pretty face. It just doesn't feel to me like it's not already a level playing field, and if anything, the playing field is stacked in the favor of the minority here. That's how I've always felt. I've never felt deterred or like my experience of trolling was any different than my male counterparts. It's very odd. Leviathan, who doesn't reveal her surname or where she lives, which is quite common for live streamers, yes, male and female, it's important to preserve a little bit of privacy. She explains there are a lot of creepy people on the internet, especially as a female. A lot of people get overly attached to you because they see you as a friendly person. No, because they see you as a prospective mate or someone they would like to sleep with, and that's not necessarily the case for male streamers because most people on Twitch watching are also male, so it's male on male adoration rather than sexual desire, you know? Also, especially for a female, yes, because you're small and tiny and a female, and much less likely to protect yourself. Oh my god, the 2014 Gamergate controversy was an abusive campaign targeted mainly at women, or targeting mainly women, I don't know, whatever. It led to women being hacked, their personal information put online, and even rape and death threats. Okay, even rape and death threats. That happens to everyone always. It's not like, oh my god, it's a threat, it's trolling. Assess whether or not it's a real threat, report it if you want, but stop acting like that's different for men or women. Also, they've gotten the Gamergate controversy so fucking wrong. I wasn't a part of Gamergate. I wasn't really like an internet person back then, as much, at least not like forum type stuff. But there's a lot more that goes into that, and it's basically like a woman starting it because she was using her position to like fuck people over and lie and stuff. This is just one very politically bent in one direction understanding of it. This just changes everything. This is the first thing they've said that actually sounds like it's a big deal toward women, and it's just completely completely off. This kind of abuse is part of a wider issue online, including the likes of cyberbullying, where solutions are only just starting to be found. We need to keep fighting against it, Harvey says, and it's not necessarily a gender-specific problem. Leviathan says male streamers get the same thing, just in different flavor. That's exactly what I said. What is the point of this article? They're literally just being level-headed and saying the things that I'm saying, but then also saying that they have some kind of extra special problem that they can't explain. It's weird. While acknowledging that it can be tough to not let trolls get to you, both Harvey and Leviathan choose not to dwell on the negative side. They do not want it to be a defining aspect of who they are, and would rather focus on their positive online legacy of influencing people in a good way. Cool. One of the fundamental issues is around disrespect for women in this field and beyond. Leviathan believes that at the basest level, there's a lack of respect and a lack of equality. It stems from that complete lack of respect that some people have for females in general. I do not agree with this at all. I think it's a baseless accusation. I think it makes absolutely no sense. Hopefully she further elaborates on why she thinks this. Let's see. For Harvey, it can be a case of unconscious bias. Oh my god. It's not necessarily overt sexism, more ignorance. Okay, let me explain really quickly the problem I have with unconscious bias. Okay, this is something that you can apply to anyone and then they can never refute it because it's unconscious and it's not your fault. Yet a lot of people will take this kind of thing, apply it to certain actions, and then infer intent, and then you can never argue against it or never support yourself and your view because it's unconscious and there's no way to quantify it. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's human nature to have unconscious biases. The measure of a man, and I've said this a million times, is whether or not you can take new information and update your opinion on a specific individual based on that information. So if you see a girl, she looks like me, you're like, this bitch a fake gamer, but then you listen to her talk, you give her a chance, you don't hate on her for no reason, and you change your mind if there's evidence to prove the contrary. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a survival mechanism. We make split-second unconscious judgments of things so that we can act quicker in cases of emergency or danger. She chooses to play in all-female teams because gaining respect takes so much time and so much effort, they don't give you that luxury, and they don't want to play with you because they assume you're not good enough. But in sports, esports specifically, there are objective measures of whether or not a person is good enough. You can look at someone's KDA. You can look at someone's performance in certain matchups. You have win rates. There's no reason why Miss Harvey, Gamer Girl A, or Gamer A, can't just walk up and be like, records, I'm exactly the same as you, if not better. The problem here is that these girls, I'm willing to bet, are slightly worse than the worst male on the team, and they just don't cut it. Because there's no possible way that you can't just walk up in there and be like, proof, and then you get in a game with them, they give you one chance, which I'm sure they will give you, and then you prove it further. It's like, there's no reason. I can't understand what that even means. It's not like a subjective beauty contest where it's just like, oh, we don't want women in this beauty contest and we're just gonna judge them with all subjective 7s instead of 10s like the men because, you know, it's subjective. No, you can tell if you're good enough. So why do some people think that women aren't generally considered to be as good as men when it comes to esports? There is a massive disparity between male and female professional gamers. While their presence is growing, Harvey believes more women are needed to get involved and compete so that the gems can be discovered. It's also critical to have more female characters in games themselves. No, it's not. Although, of course, gamers of either sex can get just as immersed while playing a man or a woman. Some female gamers feel more inspired and more of a connection when playing a female character role. Okay, so I thought this was absolute bullshit until I met Paige, aka Redhead Redemption. She was saying that as much as she loves The Witcher, she can't get into The Witcher because she's playing Geralt. Like, I don't understand that at all. Like, video games are supposed to be packaged experiences where you're living life as a different person. And there are many games where you can play as a female, hundreds of them. None of those females that I play are representative of me in the slightest. And I think the problem is collectivism here. Like, you see a lot of this collectivism, like, all I need is another woman or another minority or another this and that, and then I'll feel like I'm represented. I don't ever feel like I am represented wholly in a video game just because I have tits and a pussy just like the person who's the main protagonist in the video game. It doesn't make any sense. I identify a lot with different characters of different genders, races, and creeds, and even religions just by my singular individual traits, not gender. Gender is like one of the least important important things for me to feel immersed or feel like I'm relating to a character. You're supposed to be able to write a story so good that even if you don't want to escape your own reality when you're playing video games, you can relate to the plights of the character. I'm not understanding why women need women characters in order to feel represented or immersed. And I don't think there needs to be more female characters when there's fucking tons of female characters. Despite the harsh realities of being a female gamer, Harvey is upbeat. Most of my career and my life, gaming has been a positive experience. She describes the electric feeling of competing at the Super Bowl-esque, it's like Super Bowl, gaming tournaments held in stadiums of 60,000 spectators with millions watching online. The thrill and the adrenaline you get, it's so incredible. That's something we can agree upon. I have gotten that feeling from being on stage many times, not in esports, but just if you can ever grasp that feeling for a fleeting moment, just do something on stage or in front of people or just like kick ass at something and have people watching. It feels so good. Even when you're just streaming. I love that shit. Anyway, sorry. Still, it's less newsworthy than it once was to see female gamers at an event. For Harvey, the conversation about having girls in gaming is kind of getting old, and I think that's a good thing. We unite more. There's less competition between us and more fraternity. It's really good to have competition. It's also good to have fraternity in the fact that we're all human beings and we're all gamers. I think the fraternity should lie in the fact that we're all gamers, and the competition should lie in the competitive aspects of gaming, and that shouldn't be a bad thing. As a competitive gamer, you would think she would agree. Maybe I'm just misinterpreting what she's saying. She sees no place for the term girl gamer in the future. You've never heard boy gamer? Of course not. Because that's the standard demographic playing games. I don't understand. If something new comes in, if it's like purple gamer, like all of a sudden we have 6 purple gamers, that's fucking weird. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're hating on you because they're like, oh, it's a purple gamer. I love purple gamers, or purple gamers are so hot, or purple gamers are really good at this and that. It's like, it's just an identifier. That's literally all it is. And if someone's using it derogatorily, that's their problem. I agree that the connotation often is that a girl gamer means like, oh my god, it's another girl gamer. But so what? Like, I do not understand. If that's the extent of women being kept out of games, then I don't know what to say. Holy shit. For Harvey, it's an old school term that will hopefully eventually just fade away. Leviathan sums up her position. As a female gamer, I don't want to feel like a unicorn, but you are. Like, I just want there to be a level playing ground, a level amount of respect. You aren't owed respect. Prove yourself and you will be given respect 100%. If not, okay, like imagine a girl that comes in to a team and she's just as good, at least, as the worst guy on the team. She will be like held up on a pedestal way higher than she should be. That's been my experience. I get fucking platinum in StarCraft and everyone's like, my god, guys, we found the next fucking pro gamer here. Like, girls literally get more love for doing the bare minimum. They just can't compete on an objective level with men for some reason. And I don't believe that reason is harassment of a specific nature to females that men don't get in the exact same amount, but in a different flavor. I don't want to be treated specially, and I personally don't particularly want companies to be hiring me just because I'm female. Then turn down any of those jobs you don't feel qualified for. If they hire you just because you're a female, but you know you can do that job good, blow that fucking job out of the water. Who gives a fuck why you were hired? It doesn't matter what they do, it matters what you do. If they try to hire you for a job that you do not feel qualified for, be like, no thank you, I do not feel qualified. Simple as that. Not taking these jobs where you're just going to be a token is going to make men respect the community more if they stop doing those diversity hires, and if you actually get on the level of men and stop worrying about harassment and start worrying about getting better at your gameplay, all is well. I look at how girls spend their time, how girls generally decide to live their lives and their interests and hobbies, and I can see clearly why women aren't as into competitive gaming as men. Men and women can be gamers. Men and women can be competitive gamers. But women, more often than not, as I've said many times before, if you haven't watched my videos on this, when you think of a nerdy guy and you think of a girl, even like a not even attractive girl, girls have a lot more social opportunities. So there's a lot more pull to go out and party or to get a boyfriend or to have something else, especially when they're younger, when they're in their fertile competitive gaming years, to go spend time on stuff that's more social. Also, women are a lot less competitive than men. It's just how it is. Testosterone fuels competition. So it's not weird if men, by and large, are more competitive than women. Women also have a thinner skin. They're more sensitive. They're more prone to caring more about the individual rather than the task. It's just like, not every woman has to fulfill these things, but there's biology, sociology, and history behind the reason why it's so rare. I don't think it should be as rare as it is, but the idea that, like a lot of people say, as you're growing up, you're being told you can't do this, so at some point you believe you can't do this, and that would hold someone back who really has the drive to do it. It's just bullshit. Even if there is someone that has the competitive drive and the talent and the skill that a man has to get up there, and then they don't because society is telling them not to or something, we can't really tell society or anyone else what to do. All we can do is lead by example. So if you, girl gamer A or gamer A, think that you're good enough to compete with the men. Stop being in these fucking shit, no prize pool girl tournaments and fucking compete with the guys and get as good or better than them. Crush them and prove that women can be just as good, because every time there's an all-female team or every time there's a female on the team, it always seems to crash and burn because they just aren't as good. They're good, they just aren't as good. I think the playing field is level. I think the harassment is very similar. I just think there are other things that are out of the control of people complaining and complaining and complaining that are making the disparity so high. And I don't necessarily think that things that are boys clubs or girls clubs where there's less men or less women, I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think people's interests are different, and we shouldn't have 50% one thing, 50% the other thing, because that's not organic, and that wouldn't be a meritocracy or a level playing field. At the end, I think this is kind of funny. It says, correction, an earlier version of this article incorrectly identified the owner of Twitch as YouTube. Like, you can see, I don't know what this is, BBC, you can see how out of touch they are. The way they summarized the Gamergate thing, like, I can understand that I have some certain biases toward a specific understanding of Gamergate and I wasn't there or whatever, but to water it down to like men just really wanted to dox and harass women is really disingenuous and makes me discredit this entire article and whoever's writing it. I don't think it's the fault of the two gamers in this, and I think most of what they said makes perfect sense. I don't think that they really understand, not to take any agency away from them, oh my god, because they're women, but I don't really think they understand what their gripes are. I think they're very personal gripes that a man would feel as well, but when they're being told that girl gamers have it so much harder and there's this and that for girl gamers, they probably start to internalize that reasoning rather than just being like, there are other reasons and this, you know, happens to everyone. I'm just not experiencing that because I'm not in the shoes of everyone. Let me know what you guys think. I know a lot of people who follow me disagree with me on this topic, but I have a pretty strong bias away from this kind of thing because I think complaining about something not only is going to make the trolls worse, it's also going to make the community who's happy as they are, the men in the community, go like, oh my god, another way we have to change and not be ourselves in our own community that we have dominated for so long just to make it comfortable for these women. And the women even say that they don't want special treatment, so be treated like a guy, be trolled like a guy. Guys take this criticism, this trolling, this attack on their gender or the way they look or their orientations and stuff, and they take it in stride and they see it as gamer words and part of gamer culture, and you can tackle that, but don't tackle it from a perspective of a woman, because people will start either giving you personal treatment or attacking you because you're a whiny girl gamer. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. This is gonna be a longer one for sure. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope the listening experience was nice for you with this microphone. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm totally open to opposing opinions, so post them in the comments. Bye.